We all thought the returned Christmas gift was the breaking point. The moment when the facade finally cracked and the truth could no longer be ignored. But that was only the prologue. Because what has been quietly circulating behind the scenes makes that moment look like a distraction, a decoy, something meant to keep our eyes focused in the wrong direction while something far more damning waited in the shadows. According to multiple insiders, there is a recording. Not a rumor. Not a theory. A recording. A hot MIC moment allegedly captured on Kody Brown's phone during a visitation weekend that was supposed to be about rebuilding a fragile father-daughter bond. Instead, it may have captured the sound of that bond snapping for good. For years, viewers have been asked to believe one central story. That Kody Brown is a father kept away from his children by bitter ex-wives, by distance, by weather, by circumstances beyond his control. Season after season, he has looked into the camera with that familiar tight expression, insisting that he is desperate to see his kids, that his heart is broken, that he is trying his best. But what if that entire narrative was manufactured? What if the pain he has been performing was never about loss at all, but about inconvenience? Because insiders are saying this recording doesn't just expose absence. It exposes intent. It suggests that Kody didn't miss time with Kody because he couldn't show up. He missed it because he didn't want to. The most chilling part is not that the recording exists. It's who recorded it. Kody has always been the quiet one. The kid in the background, curled up with a book, observing while the adults fought, postured, and blamed one another. She was never the loudest. Never the most confrontational. Never the one demanding attention. And maybe that's why no one noticed when she stopped being passive and started paying attention. Teenagers see more than adults think. They hear things adults assume will be forgotten. And unlike previous generations, they have technology in their hands at all times. Kody forgot that. He forgot that the child he dismissed in the corner was capable of documenting reality. According to the whispers spreading through the sister wives' inner circles, the recording was not planned as some elaborate takedown. It was allegedly captured during what Kody believed was a private conversation with Robin. A moment where the cameras were off, the performance was dropped, and the truth slipped out. Kody was nearby. Maybe she had headphones in. Maybe she was scrolling. Maybe she was just sitting quietly like she always does. Kody assumed she wasn't listening. That assumption may have been the biggest mistake of his life. What is said to be on that audio has been described as the smoking gun of Flagstaff. Not because it contains shouting or rage, but because of the tone, the ease, the casual nature of it all. Insiders claim the recording captures Kody discussing the very trips he has long used as excuses for missing Trueless milestones. The school events he couldn't attend. The weekends he couldn't drive to Utah. The parent-teacher conferences he allegedly missed because of work obligations. Only this time, the story is different. On the tape, those business trips reportedly dissolve into something else entirely. Shopping sprees. Leisure drives. Mental health breaks. Time deliberately carved out for Robin while Kody was left with excuses. Imagine being a teenager and realizing that the reason your father didn't show up for you wasn't because he was overwhelmed or struggling or doing his best. It was because he chose comfort over connection. Because he preferred luxury over presence. Because it was easier to lie than to show up and face the reality of a child who had grown old enough to see through him. That realization changes everything. It reframes every missed call, every delayed text, every promise that was never kept. And if the rumors are true, Kody didn't confront him in that moment. She didn't cry. She didn't explode. She did something far more dangerous. She recorded. For years, Kody has hidden behind logistics, distance, snow, protocols, work. He framed himself as a busy patriarch, burdened by responsibility, holding together an empire that no one else could manage. If he was gone, it was because he was providing. If he missed a moment, it was because sacrifice was required. And for a long time, that excuse worked. It worked on the audience. It worked on Robin. It may have even worked on himself. But it stopped working on his kids a long time ago. Especially on Kody, who moved to Utah and began watching another man show up in ways her father never did. David Woolley didn't need a schedule. He didn't need protocols. He didn't need excuses. He showed up. And that presence created a contrast Kody couldn't control. Suddenly, the story that Christine was keeping Truly away didn't hold up. Because Truly wasn't being withheld. She was being prioritized. She was being seen. And when she returned to Flagstaff for visitation, she didn't come back as the child Kody remembered. She came back as a witness. Insiders claim the tension during that visit was palpable. Truly allegedly asked questions. Simple ones. Why weren't you there? Why couldn't you come? Why does work always happen when I need you? These are not accusations. They are the questions of a child trying to understand their place in a parent's life. Kody, reportedly irritated, fell back on the script he has used for years. He was busy. He was working. He was doing what he had to do. But later, when he thought the audience was gone, the mask slipped. According to those who claim knowledge of the recording, Kody is heard admitting that the dates he cited as work conflicts actually aligned with trips to Scottsdale. Not meetings. Not investments. Shopping. Luxury purchases. Time away framed not as necessity, but as reward. There is allegedly laughter. Not joy. Not relief. A smug, dismissive laugh. The kind of laugh that suggests he believed he got away with something. That laugh is what insiders say makes the audio unbearable to hear. Because it's not just absence. It's mockery. The rumor that has fans reeling is that Kody allegedly jokes about missing a parent-teacher conference because he didn't want to run into David. That he framed his absence not as a loss, but as a win. Dodging an uncomfortable encounter mattered more than showing up for his daughter. That moment, if true, is the pivot point. Because it reveals the truth Kody has been desperately trying to hide. He wasn't busy. He was afraid. Afraid of facing the man who stepped into the role he abandoned. Afraid of being exposed without a camera, without editing, without control. Truly hearing that changes a child forever. It collapses the illusion that love was there but circumstances got in the way. It reveals that the distance was never geographical. It was emotional. Intentional. And the realization that your pain was avoidable, that it was chosen, is far more devastating than believing it was inevitable. That is why this recording matters. Not because it's salacious, but because it validates years of quiet hurt. What makes this even more unsettling is the role Robin allegedly plays in the audio. Some insiders say she is an active participant. Agreeing. Validating. The moment the whispers about the recording began to circulate, something shifted behind the scenes, like the air pressure dropping before a storm. People who had spent years carefully choosing their words suddenly went quiet. Others, who were never subtle to begin with, stopped posting altogether. Silence became the loudest signal that something real was unfolding. Because this wasn't another fan theory or exaggerated internet rumor. This was different. This was specific. Dates were lining up. Details were matching old episodes a little too perfectly. And the people who knew Kody best were no longer defending him. They were waiting. To understand why this alleged recording is so devastating, you have to understand how carefully Kody Brown has curated his image for years. He has always treated the show like a stage, every interaction a scene, every conversation an opportunity to reinforce the story he once told. When things go wrong, there is always a monologue ready. He has perfected the art of sounding wounded while avoiding accountability. The betrayed husband. The exhausted father. The man pushed to the brink by disloyalty. That persona has carried him through season after season. But a hot MIC doesn't respect scripts. It doesn't care about camera angles or lighting or sympathy edits. It captures what is said when no one thinks they're being judged. According to insiders, what Truly recorded wasn't a dramatic explosion. It was something colder. More revealing. The tone was casual. Familiar. The kind of conversation that happens when someone believes they are safe, when they believe everyone in the room is either loyal or irrelevant. That's what makes it so damaging. There is no heat of the moment excuse. No claim of being misunderstood. Just honesty, unfiltered and unguarded. The alleged audio reportedly includes Kody talking openly about how exhausting it is to deal with the expectations surrounding his other children. Not in a reflective way. In an irritated, dismissive way. He is said to frame visits not as opportunities, but as obligations. Things to get through. Things to avoid when possible. And when Truly's name comes up, the language reportedly shifts in a way that hits hardest. Not anger. Not sadness. Indifference. The kind that cuts deeper than cruelty because it suggests the person simply doesn't care enough to be cruel. Insiders claim that at one point on the recording, Kody refers to having earned time away. Earned rest. Earned luxury. As if fatherhood were a job with optional overtime, not a responsibility that doesn't clock out. He allegedly justifies the Scottsdale trips as necessary resets, framing them as mental health breaks, especially for Robyn. That phrasing alone has enraged fans who have watched him dismiss his other children's emotional needs for years. Because suddenly, mental health matters when it belongs to the person he prioritizes. Suddenly, rest is sacred. Suddenly, boundaries are valid. Just not for Truly. What makes this even more painful is the contrast Truly has been living with. In Utah, she sees consistency. She sees presence. She sees a man who doesn't need excuses because he doesn't disappear. David Woolley doesn't announce his sacrifices. He doesn't perform fatherhood. He just does it. And that quiet reliability has apparently become the thing Kody can't stand. According to the rumors surrounding the tape, David's name comes up more than once, and not kindly. Kody is allegedly heard mocking David. Not directly threatening him. Not confronting him. But belittling him in that way insecure men do when they feel replaced. The comments are said to drip with jealousy, framed as jokes but fueled by resentment. He reportedly accuses David of trying too hard, of showing up just to make him look bad. That accusation alone reveals everything. Because it suggests Kody cannot fathom someone showing up for Truly simply because she deserves it. In his mind, everything is a competition. A power struggle. A narrative battle. He doesn't realize David isn't playing the same game. For Truly, hearing that would be devastating in a very specific way. Because it confirms what she has likely already felt but maybe hoped wasn't true. That her father doesn't see her as a daughter first. He sees her as a symbol. A pawn in a larger war with Christine. A prop in a story where he needs to be the victim. And when she stopped playing that role, when she stopped quietly accepting excuses, she became inconvenient. This is where the transformation happens. Because Truly doesn't react the way her older siblings did. She doesn't confront him in tears. She doesn't plead. She doesn't try to reason with him. She does something far more strategic. She listens. She documents. She becomes what insiders are now calling the auditor. Not of finances, but of truth. She starts comparing what he says privately to what he says publicly. And the gaps are impossible to ignore. Kody tells the cameras he is heartbroken over the distance. On the tape, he allegedly sounds relieved when Truly leaves. Kody tells the world he is desperate for access. On the tape, he jokes about dodging school events. Kody claims work is consuming his life. On the tape, he's discussing luxury purchases and debating decor. That contrast is not a misunderstanding. It's a lie. Repeated, intentional, and carefully maintained. And that is why panic reportedly set in once word of the recording began to spread. Because this isn't just embarrassing. It's disqualifying. It threatens custody dynamics. It threatens the show. It threatens the last shred of credibility Kody has left. Sources say he has been frantic behind the scenes, asking who knows what, who has heard it, who might have copies. Not asking how Truly feels. Not asking what damage has been done. Asking about exposure. The legal angle only adds fuel to the fire. Quiet conversations about consent laws, privacy expectations, and potential injunctions have reportedly begun. And the irony is staggering. A man who made his fortune by living on camera is now terrified of being heard when he didn't authorize the recording. A man who demanded access to every corner of his family's lives now wants privacy when the truth isn't flattering. That hypocrisy is not lost on anyone. What's especially telling is the response of the other children. Those who have been the most vocal critics of Kody in the past are suddenly silent. No sub-tweets. No vague posts. No jokes. Just quiet. And that kind of quiet suggests coordination. Strategy. The kind that happens when people finally have proof and are deciding when, not if, to use it. Christine, according to insiders, hasn't said much either. But those close to her say she isn't surprised. Hurt, yes. But not shocked. Because she lived this reality for years. She watched excuses pile up. She watched her daughter's expectations shrink. And now, allegedly, she's watching the truth surface in a way Kody can't talk his way out of. The advice circulating in those inner circles isn't emotional. It's practical. Save the file. Back it up. Don't rush. Let him keep talking. Yanel's reaction is said to be colder. More final. If the tape is real, it confirms what she already believed. The deeper layers of the recording are where the narrative reportedly turns from uncomfortable to truly damning. Because once the surface-level indifference is exposed, what follows isn't just neglect, it's calculation. Insiders who claim knowledge of the audio say there is a stretch where Kody's tone shifts again, becoming almost instructional, as if he's explaining strategy rather than speaking about his own child. That's the part that has left even long-time defenders stunned. Not because it's loud or explosive, but because it's methodical. In this portion, Kody is allegedly heard discussing optics. Not emotions. Not regret. Optics. He reportedly talks about how certain situations look bad on camera and how it's better to limit exposure than to risk saying the wrong thing. The implication is chilling. Because it suggests that distance wasn't an accident. It was a solution. That avoiding truly wasn't about pain or confusion. It was about control. About minimizing scenes he couldn't manage. And then comes the line that insiders say changed everything for those who heard it. A line delivered casually, almost jokingly, where Kody allegedly says that Truly is old enough now to understand why he isn't around as much. Not that she deserves an explanation. Not that she deserves effort. Just that she's old enough to absorb disappointment quietly. Old enough to stop expecting. Old enough to self-soothe. That single sentiment reframes years of absence as intentional conditioning. For viewers who have watched Truly grow up on screen, from a soft-spoken child with wide eyes to a guarded teenager, this hits with brutal clarity. Because suddenly, the emotional distance makes sense. The flat effect. The politeness. The lack of visible longing. Those aren't signs of healing. They're signs of adaptation. Of a child who learned early that wanting too much leads to pain, so wanting less feels safer. According to the rumors, there is a moment on the tape where someone, possibly Robin, possibly another adult, asks whether Truly might resent him later. The response attributed to Kody is what insiders describe as the most revealing part of the entire recording. He allegedly shrugs it off, saying resentment passes and that kids come back around when they're older. That belief alone exposes the core of the problem. It assumes access is guaranteed. That time owed can be collected later. That relationships can be paused and resumed at will. But Truly isn't a theory. She's a person. And unlike the other children, she has lived long enough in the aftermath to see patterns repeat. She has watched promises dissolve. She has watched the burden of effort always fall on the same side. And most importantly, she has watched someone else step in without being asked. Without demanding loyalty. Without needing credit. This is where the contrast between Kody and David becomes unavoidable. Insiders say the recording contains a section where Kody openly complains about how David's presence complicates things. Not legally. Emotionally. He allegedly admits that Truly seems calmer around David, more open, more relaxed. And instead of asking why, instead of reflecting on what he might be missing, he frames it as manipulation. As influence. As if emotional safety were something that could only exist if someone else was pulling strings. That mindset reveals something deeply unsettling. Because it suggests Kody equates love with control. If he's not the source of comfort, then the comfort must be suspicious. If he's not the center, then someone else must be stealing the spotlight. There is no room in that worldview for shared responsibility or mutual care. Only hierarchy. Only dominance. What makes this especially volatile is the possibility that Truly heard more than just words. She heard attitudes, patterns, priorities laid bare. And once you hear that, you don't forget it. You can forgive behavior. You can rationalize mistakes. But you can't unhear the truth about how someone sees you when they think you don't matter enough to perform for. Sources say this is when Truly reportedly stopped trying altogether. No more initiating calls. No more reminders. No more quiet hope that things might improve. Instead, she began matching energy with silence. And that silence has been louder than any confrontation could ever be. Because Kody noticed it. He felt the withdrawal. But rather than respond with urgency, he reportedly labeled it teenage attitude, dismissing it the same way he dismisses anything that challenges his authority. That dismissal is where the damage calcifies. Because when a child pulls away and the response is relief instead of concern, the relationship doesn't just weaken, it ends. Not with a fight. Not with a dramatic break. But with a quiet mutual understanding that one side will no longer chase, and the other never planned to. Behind the scenes, the adults around Truly have reportedly become acutely aware of this shift. Christine, especially, is said to have noticed the emotional flattening. The way Truly speaks without expectation, the way she doesn't react when plans fall through. Those aren't signs of maturity. They're signs of resignation. And for a mother who spent years begging for scraps of attention for her children, that realization cuts deep. This is where the conversation reportedly turns toward protection rather than exposure. Because releasing the tape wouldn't just expose Kody. It would expose Truly to a level of scrutiny she never asked for. Every word she recorded would be dissected. Every decision questioned. Every emotion analyzed. And while the internet loves a villain, it also loves a spectacle. Truly would become content. And that may be the one thing her mother refuses to allow. Still, the existence of the recording has already changed the balance of power. Kody may not know exactly what's on it, but he knows enough to be afraid. Insiders claim his behavior has shifted noticeably. More defensive, more controlling, more obsessed with who is speaking to whom. He has reportedly tried to rewrite history in private conversations, planting alternate versions of events in case the truth surfaces. That's not the behavior of an innocent man. That's damage control. What's particularly telling is how quickly the narrative flips when Truly is mentioned now. Kody reportedly avoids specifics, speaking in vague generalities about the kids rather than naming her directly. As if distance can be maintained through language alone. As if omission equals protection. But silence doesn't erase evidence. It just makes it louder when it finally speaks. And the question looming over everything isn't whether the tape will be released. It's whether it needs to be. Because sometimes, the mere existence of truth is enough to change outcomes. Custody conversations shift. Public sympathy realigns. And the person who spent years controlling the story suddenly realizes he no longer owns it. The most unsettling rumor, though, is that the tape doesn't end where people think it does. That there is a final segment, quieter, shorter, but infinitely more revealing, where Kody allegedly acknowledges, even briefly, that Truly will be fine without him. Not in a hopeful way. In a dismissive one. As if her resilience absolves his absence. As if strength developed in neglect somehow justifies the neglect itself. Beginning to surface.